Donc la période d'observation est terminée. The observation is over.
Hello and welcome to the finals of the 2024 Canadian National Lead Climbing Championships. Pete Woods here, joined by Sabrina Taylorhead. Sabrina, merci de nous rejoindre pour une autre journée de compétition.
Thank you for having me.
So the finals, we are down to 8 climbers. We took them from 26 yesterday down to 8 today. They get one route each, exactly the same as the semifinal. One fall, one slip, you're out, that's it. A little bit different from yesterday, we are going to be able to focus on one group at a time. So the men are going to climb first. We're going to run through all 8 in reverse order, so from 8th place up to first place. There'll be a short changeover, then we're going to run through the women. You and I had a look at the routes earlier. We've been talking to the route setters. There's a few little spicy treats in store on these routes this afternoon.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple big moves, some that we'll have to look out for.
And the style is something that comes into play as much in lead climbing as it does in bouldering. So across the rounds in the semifinals and the finals, the route setters get sort of 8 opportunities to introduce different kinds of styles, different ways to make the climbers, well, I mean, essentially fall. But what they're doing is they're running through their toolbox and saying, well, let's add a little risk here, let's add some commitment, let's just have a super powerful boulder over there. And you don't really know until you come out what order you're going to get those boulders in. You're like, okay, and in the finals, because you can jump around, you're like, oh, we're going to start on, great, we start on the slab, I come out high risk, and then you're like, oh, I got 3 power boulders in a row. When you come out and look at the route, it's going to be different styles encompassed in one single route. And then similarly, the order that difficulty is presented is important. So sometimes they add risk at the beginning. Sometimes they make the beginning just really, really pumpy. You get on your hands, the feet are bad, or they're smeary, or they're out of place. They put you in a small box, or they make you reach. And then sometimes they make you do really powerful things off the ground. So what we're trying to do is just test the athlete's ability to adapt, overcome, and continue.
Yeah, and I think in finals, they do want to put on a show. So the beginning of the routes might be a little more smoother than yesterday. They're less trying to really challenge the athletes from the beginning and more put on a show.
Yeah, they want them to get above the 3rd draw. So they definitely want to get some rock climbing in before people come into the difficult parts. But these routes are going to be super, super exciting. And we're going to get underway with Samuel Tukuvara, 27, the elder statesman of the men's final group, coming out of Ontario and right up into it. Just a fun move at the beginning of this route that's not going to make anybody fall necessarily, but it just makes them go, here we go, I'm into it.
Yeah, now you're the one that's going to jinx the round by saying that no one's going to
I don't think it actually happened yesterday. I think you got away with it.
Yeah, I did.
So we're going to let the climbing sort of, the route will show itself as the climbers get through it. But crimpy section here, lots of very small holds, some precise climbing. And I mean, even that position is uncomfortable. Sam has been competing and climbing for an awfully long time. Has been in and around podiums at the national level. More of a boulderer, I would argue. Way more competitions under his belt on the bouldering side.
Yeah.
But you know, once you're at this level, if you want to climb lead and you train for it, you're going to be in a similar skill level.
Yeah, he's also one of those athletes that do all the friendly comps as well. So he's pretty much always there when he can.
Yeah, and that's the part of the climbing community where some gyms in some countries and some provinces have lots and lots and lots of friendly, like, local comps, and some climbers just love to compete.
For sure.
And this is our look at the first of the what you might think is not normally something you would find on a lead route, but you saw this in the women's final of the bouldering round, but a risk move right in the steepest part of the wall, a lache. I mean, I love it. This is where modern route setting is going, and that is risk personified.
For sure. Yeah, that's what the setters said they were trying to do with these routes, trying to have a little bit of risk and really do some modern climbing. So we are going to see some of these big jump moves, and it's stressful for the athletes, but really exciting for us to watch.
Yeah, exactly, and that's often what happens. They're opposite sides of the same coin. Is that what's entertaining for us to watch is not as fun necessarily for the athletes. In the semifinal rounds, maybe when you know you've got 3 tops and you're like, oh, there's maybe a 3-4-5 move paddle or something that you're like, yeah, these are fun, and I'm not worried about topping it. But when you throw it in the middle of your lead final with all or nothing,
yeah,
they're cursing a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So that brings us Luca Boivin, a 16-year-old from Quebec. And all of the younger athletes will have sort of youth nationals experience, youth circuit experience, and then as soon as they get to 16, or in the year, that calendar year, they get to compete on the open circuit as well. So a lot of them this will be their first or second open national or senior national championships as well.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of an adaptation period for youth climbers to really get used to the senior scene.
Yeah, and I was chatting with Madison Richardson during the bouldering final about the adaptation from national level to high performance, and then from high performance to World Cups. And she was saying, our sort of national final is World Cup qualifier semifinal level. And you do see that in the results of people who go to their first World Cup season. So you podium at nationals, you do extremely well at the high performance camp, and then you come 50th, like 6 World Cups in a row. And you think, well, that's terrible. It's not. The World Cup level it's hard to describe how much higher it is than national level climbing in most countries.
Yeah, kind of need to do over the whole learning process every new step that you get to.
Exactly, and you have to bear down and realize how much work is involved in the work. This is a fun section here that sort of gets, the angle changes enough to get just kind of a gentle layback across here, but it's uncomfortable. The holds that he's on aren't great, and you can see that, it's careful movement through there.
Yeah.
Stressful footwork. Just standing on top of that. There's a little crimp where his right foot is.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of really resting and relaxing right before this big committing move.
Yeah, and this is obviously it's a good hold, but still a lache is hard. Yeah, you have to look down.
Yeah.
And then look up, and then look down, and then look up, and then look down.
Yeah.
And then at one point, it's trust, right? You have this type of climbing.
It's a good
after I stopped
hold,
competing. You see here, he's looking down at his feet, and then as he plants, just the subtleties of having to get into the wall are much, much more exposed when you're 25 feet up a lead route.
For sure.
Just fumbled it, just missed it.
Yeah, he overshot a little bit, so took a few seconds before he was actually in the hole.
Yeah, and then by that time you've kind of pulled away from the wall. And
exactly.
So yeah, I don't have a lot of experience doing moves like that. I play around with them in the gym, but I also walk away if I don't like them, because I get to do that. You have a much more experience in it. you have to learn something relatively complex in a bouldering final or a semifinal in 4 minutes. On a lead route, you just have to go back into your sort of movement archive and say, I know how to do this. But they're not easy. They sometimes look easy when they're executed really well, but I mean, please tell us.
Oh no, they are very hard, and especially it's a mental type of move. So when you get there, you really need to remember the basics of the movement. Remember how you want to place your hips, how to use the momentum, be relaxed, and not think about, will I stick it or not?
That's such a good, subtle difference, because often where you're like, I need to stick it. But if that's your mindset, you're not thinking about all, the enough pieces of the process. Yeah, I really like that as a subtle difference where maybe, if you've just been climbing for a few years at your gym at home and you're always thinking, like, oh, I just got to grab it. But you're then not learning were your hips in the right place?
Exactly.
Were you swinging too much? Were you swinging not enough? Like all of those, the house of cards, as it were, that you need to build up to get to the completion of that kind of move.
Yeah, and it's also all about the experience you have with these moves. So the gyms are more and more setting a lot of these moves and different grades as well. So doing a lot of those on easier terrain gets you a lot more exposure.
Yeah, I can't do them in easy terrain either, so we'll talk about that later.
Just do the monkey bars.
I can coach them, I just can't do them. Joshua Heckroot now, also from Quebec, a youngster, 15. So this is his first. Oh my goodness, a really good look at that. Sam, we saw, again, same, had that really difficult push through there. They make it happen, but that's now taking a little bit of energy every time you have to be locked off.
Yeah, and it's hard to go from a type of climbing when you're maybe a little bit tensed to then going to the next dynamic move where you need to be kind of relaxed.
Yeah, you've got to create sort of that limber movement through your limbs.
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose, I promise.
He seems to be relaxing more and more.
Yeah, that's a good trait. Oh no. Just trying to find a position to clip this. That's uncomfortable. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Get that foot back together. Joshua. Some of the younger climbers.
He's starting to fight here.
Yes.
He's getting into these holes that are really positive, so maybe he'll be able to take a breather.
And he's gonna pour a little showiness. So the body tension was getting him, but not the arm fitness. I was gonna say some of these younger climbers maybe don't have quite as much experience getting stressed out and needing to recover and readapt. But that from Joshua, a little bit showy and calmed him down, I guess.
Yeah.
Almost. I don't mind a one-arm campus clip. You're not going to see it very often.
Yeah, it makes me think of the Alex Puccio moment we saw at Block Shop.
BSO, yeah. And calmed him down again. So you watch his left hand. Yeah. There is a volume triangle opposing the jug they're jumping to.
Really positive.
It's there.
So
you're not going to stick it and hear the swinging campus clip. And he's going to chalk up. So a little showmanship from Joshua. Just showed it. He did kind of go left hand first.
Yeah.
The setters were saying that it's there as you could stabilize if you don't want to go around the corner. It's maybe easier than the one arm swing. So it's an option.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was targeting it to control the corner, but then just shorted that part of it.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the move we saw in semis yesterday. I don't know how well they can see the hold that they're aiming for. So they do seem to be a little blind going for it.
Yeah. And from you see it from the ground in your preview, but it is, experience tells you how tall you are, like you know what your reach is like in space that you're not physically in yet, but it's never perfect. And when you get there, you're like, I'm pretty sure, and black holds on black volumes is a nasty little root setter trick to hide the depth of how good, even the crimps. So color on color just makes it really hard to see any type of contrast. And so they're like, it has to be good enough to jump to, but it's a little bit blind, and I'm a little bit nervous, etc., etc., and the house of cards starts to come apart.
Yeah, yeah, and the setters will use that to add complexity to the routes.
And they get in your head a little bit. You were talking yesterday about having space in your mind to have the ability to think, and if you fill that up with too much, then you run out of the ability to process what you're trying to do. So that's, even as as we see TJ come through here, he's thinking about not thinking about the lâcher, and he's like, focus on where you are, don't think about the lâcher. Now I'm thinking about the lâcher. So it's complexity comes in many, many forms.
For sure. There's a lot happening in the comp.
I like this here. This is the first one person we've seen take a nice, kind of real sinky casual position before that pocket. Some climbers will sprint. Some will lean back and shake on every hold. Some will do the little wrist flicks on every hold. So you're going to see lots of different lead climbing styles. TJ's been up on the podium before at Youth Nationals. As he gets, watch that right leg. Whew.
Opting not to clip. Oh, okay.
Getting a double in. No, there we go.
Nice. Now he gets the good hold.
Yeah, you see that exhale.
Yeah. Nice.
Get a few shakes in.
Yeah, getting that good picture as well.
TJ Foley. Yes. See him get the left and the right hand at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of I think a balance between taking a little time to relax before you go, but not too much so you start to overthink it.
Yes, and you can't hang there for too long. You can't swing too many times. Yeah, it's not a rest position, as it were.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. This for sure is, but again, you can't recover forever. And TJ is going to continue to embark. So it's his crimp section here is sort of a nest of volumes. The crimps are all fairly bad. The feet get away from you. Clever toe hook.
Probably feeling a little boost of confidence also after sticking that move. You could probably tell he was the first one to do it.
Yes, for sure. Oh, that kind of false wrap maybe felt good in the moment, but looks like it might have. He's happy. He's clearly pleased with that performance. You climb up into the head wall of your lead final, you've done a good job.
Yeah.
He does. Watch his hands come. The timing here.
Yeah, I think it's actually a lot in his hips. So he's really through the hips into the wall. So he has so much time to then fall into the holds.
And this is a good look at how the scoring goes. So every hold has a point value. So there's 32 holds on the men's route. 34. You get a point every time you control a hold, but in order to kind of differentiate between someone who sat on a hold and someone who continued, what you saw there was basically a textbook example. TJ left hold 29, that right hand crimp, towards hold 30. So he'll get 29 plus.
Yep.
He didn't control the 30th hold, but he touched it. So that's clearly movement in the direction of the route using the hold that you're on, and that's how we get a 29 plus. You'll see that in the live scoring. If you don't know, cec.results.info. It'll get updated within a minute or two of each climber coming down off of their route, and we're keeping track here. And pretty clearly, TJ, the first person to stick the lâcher, and he's earned himself a spot on the head wall with a 29 plus.
Yeah, and that plus can always really make a difference.
You can win comps on a plus. We were talking yesterday that you can make a final on a plus.
Yep.
And then, of course, it tracks that you can win on a plus. On a maintenant Maxime Terrien, 17 années, qui vient du Québec. Tu dis, Canyon, c'est son gym propre ou non?
Pas Maxime, non. Maxime grimpe maintenant au bloc 981 à Gatineau. Donc, je ne sais pas où il entraîne la voie, mais pour le bloc, c'est là qu'il grimpe. Peut-être qu'il fait des circuits. Des
circuits sur les blocs.
Exact.
Ça fonctionne, mais c'est pas la même chose.
Exact.
And climbing with the watch on, this blows my mind. I know it's not relevant to anything. It's not an advantage. It's not a disadvantage. I could not climb with a watch on. Mentally, I would think it was restricting my blood flow. Like, I couldn't handle it. So many people do it, though.
Yeah, I think he might be one of those climbers that can climb for a long time, so maybe he gets the habit of watching for the time.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
They do have, I think,
6 or 7 minutes. I was remiss not to check if it changes from semifinals to finals. It's not about how fast you do the route, but you need to complete the route in the time frame allotted. And then if we have ties all the way back to qualifiers, we will look to see who got to their point on the finals route the soonest. He doesn't look comfortable here, and it's as designed.
Yeah. Yeah, they all had to have a little bit of a fight right before a commitment move, so it's definitely very mentally challenging.
Right, yeah, you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness, now I need a little recovery time and a little breath, but you can't stay here forever. So chaining those two things together, you go from a risk boulder to a coordination boulder, as it were, back to back.
Yeah.
Maxime Terrien maintenant, sous le gros mouvement. That's a big swing.
Yeah,
okay.
Nice. I'm like relieved for them every time.
We both sat up a little bit taller and then sit back down again in our chairs.
Because that type of move, you know, it's a make or break moment. All the other moves are kind of like you're just going from hold to hold.
Look at this now, tactics.
Yeah.
Helpful?
I think so, yeah. For me, I'm a boulderer, so I'm definitely, I climb just really fast on a route because I have no endurance. But if you can rest on a big jug, then...
Yeah, same. I found always that I didn't recover as much as the time I spent trying to recover.
Yeah.
So I would get a few shakes, but I'm a sprinter.
Yeah.
And I can't reach my heels when they're both up in the air either, so I don't have the hip flexibility for that one. So good look at, again, how small the crimps are here. So this, if you weren't pumped 2 moves ago, you immediately feel it when you grab holds this small.
Yeah, and these holds, just to let you know how bad they are, they're usually used as feet, holds for the feet.
Oh, I love that little heel hook if it's helping. Max just unable. Maybe the heel didn't help. Maybe pulling him over instead of pushing him away. That's we can argue about that till the cows come home. I would have said that's a good position to hold, but it's not a good position to leave from. So everything's pulling him to the right with that heel hook. He's putting so much weight into it that you just can't release the left side.
Yeah, he didn't do the little wrap like our last climber did. He decided to hold the little crimp.
Yeah. And you just, I mean, you could see it in his face and the reach. So that reach, and me scoring this, that's a 29, not a plus. He's falling off. The throwing your arm towards the next hold is not the same as moving. And they say your hips, the core, the center of your mass up towards the next one. So I think that's a 29. We saw a few cheer. The crowd's a little smaller. It is a work day for some people, but we saw that. We heard the Hugo chants yesterday. They came out again. A local favorite, 20-year-old from Quebec, from the Delire team.
Yeah, I remember last year at Bouldering Nationals, we did the same thing, screaming Hugo, and it's so fun to watch a comp as well as doing them. You kind of are on the boulder, on the route with them.
Yes. Yeah, and because, I mean, at our core, we're fans as well. So we like to see the movement. We have favorites. We have people we enjoy watch climbing. We like their styles.
Definitely.
Maybe our hometown. I try not to let my bias come in, but I often do. I definitely have favorites. I call them out. TJ, I've seen him climbing. You know, he's in Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan area, Kelowna.
Yeah, and what's really nice about these like youth climbers or climbers like him that has been climbing for such a long time, we see the development, we see the progress and the work that they put in. So it makes it even more fun to see them like win or get to where they wanted to.
Yeah, interesting. A couple little shakes here from Hugo after that Gaston press move, which is a little taxing. Yeah, and you watch them come from youth to adult, and they grow a lot.
For sure.
And all of a sudden, your feet and your hands are a lot further away from your brain than they used to be. And it can be really hard. A lot of climbers go through an adaptive stage. If they hit a growth spurt, You put on muscle, which makes you heavier all of a sudden, and everything just goes a bit out the window. And then they kind of, as they come into senior climbing for a season or two, what is he trying to find?
Yeah,
a little
clip.
heel lock to clip. Worth it? We'll find out.
Yeah, this section really looks awkward.
Oh, he will be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the body language immediately, shoulders down. You were just saying how awkward that is. It's very tenuous.
Yeah.
The slightest shift, I think, left or right, those holds, both face left, there's nothing to keep you pulling away from them.
Yeah, so you really need to keep your core engaged, I think, the whole way.
And I think that heel lock, only he knows for sure, helped him clip, but then when he released it, it kind of shifted his tension out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you've got, I feel every time that you have to stand and untie, and you just want to run, you know, into the corner.
Yeah, we love that people are still, you know, they're clapping, they're saying, we know you're disappointed, but we're here with you.
Yeah, that's 100% what's in that. And it stings now, and it'll sting tomorrow, it'll probably sting next week. But over time, you reach back and you learn. How is that cycle for you? You have a comp, you do well, you have a comp, you don't do so well. You still need to take education back from both of those experiences.
Yeah, I think for me, back comps are some of the most motivating usually. They're really hard for the first day or two, but I always get really motivated to get back to training. And I saw in a documentary once, the coach said you get 24 hours to celebrate your win or to dwell on your mistakes, and then you move on.
Yeah, I love that. I fully believe that you should sit in whatever emotion you had and then learn from both the emotional reaction as well as the success or the failure. And I think we learn as much from failure as we do from success, because failure, you have something to work on. Evan, we just don't bobble holds at the beginning. My heart rate goes up. It's coming out confidently, but
I wonder if you heard that maybe the surprise from the crowd.
Yeah, I think you're right. You are sort of clock watching. And your goal came down significantly sooner than everyone, and I mean that's where Evan's our second place qualifier. So Ugo, you know, theoretically is looking for a podium spot, have been your sort of third place semi-finalist.
Yeah, and you can hear, because it's such a showy move, this jump, you can clearly hear when someone does it or not.
Right.
So it's easy to know kind of where people fell.
Yeah, and I guess you get into your head a bit, you're like, well, if he fell there, I guess I better be careful. It's not a giveaway.
Yeah, anybody could fall on that type of move for sure.
So you just see that, like you're really holding tension awkwardly. Evan being the right amount of careful. I love route setting like this. So to me, that section from the pocket up to here it's so clever.
Yeah.
Because it erodes confidence, it erodes body tension, like it does all these things. And as you were saying, just before you've got to do, you know, a complex dynamic movement.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell he took a little breath before he went.
No problem. I mean, quote unquote, no problem, of course. It's always a bit of a problem.
All right, he's going to take this resting position and milk it.
His double heels.
Oh.
Hey. As we were saying yesterday too, a little levity, a little light confidence is also enjoyable.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm so focused when I'm competing. Sometimes I would never think to say hi to people.
True. I've done it on the mats, like between tries.
Yeah.
You know, to ask people to sort of focus on something else. I'm like, watch, I don't need you right now. Like, I'm nervous. You go over there.
Yeah, but on the rope, taking the time to
turn around and wave.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
He's having fun.
A little joie de vivre.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he came out, he won Youth Nationals this year. He won Youth Nationals in 2023. He won Youth Nationals in 2022. And now he's onto the open scene. 5th last year at Open Nationals, so looking to improve on that and campusing through here, so a little more oomph.
And using the left foot instead of the heel.
All right, but that left leg, he needs to get that under control. Doesn't quite get it. So that's not going to be hold 30. That's going to put him in the same place as TJ, and then he'll be ahead on countback, which puts TJ guaranteed podium spot. Evan guaranteed podium spot, and Guy McNamee, as you see here, he gets it, but it's not a good hold, Sam.
No, yeah, and the right hand looks really hard to figure out how to hold the volume. Even looking at it, and we've seen a couple athletes, I still don't know which way is the best
what the right
way.
decision is. Agreed.
Exactly. That tells you how complex it is.
Yeah. Because if you have the crimp, it sort of it doesn't drive you. If you have the press, it doesn't hold you.
Yeah.
And then this is, the best part about national level competitions is the camaraderie. So that's, TJ and Evan know each other well, being both from the West Coast. So he's congratulating over there. It's that feeling where you want to win, but you don't want to win because someone climbed badly.
Yeah.
So you want to have your best day, and they have their best day, and you see what happens. So you're sort of like, you have that moment, you're like, if you fell here, that'd be great, because, maybe I win, but that's not really what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you can honestly just be proud of someone else's climbing. Like, oh, you know what? You climb so well, I can't really be mad at you for beating me.
Exactly. And that's the difference. If I climb badly and you beat me, I'm like, I could have had you.
Yeah.
But if I did my absolute best, then, that's what we're looking for. All right, Guy McNamee, your top qualifying semi-finalist in his element. So he has been a national champion before. He's spent several seasons now doing 2 or 3 World Cups, boulder and lead. So he's getting that well-rounded experience.
Yeah, I was talking to Guy and Kinder this weekend, and they said they were really excited to have to do some more fun comps and light comps. I know, for them, I guess nationals is a light comp, but
that's a little bit funny. I like that.
But yeah, I'm always happy when I hear athletes say, you know what, I'm a bit tired from the World Cups, and I just want to have fun, so I'm going to do this and enjoy the sport.
Yeah, because you can burn out.
For sure.
Right? And the longer you compete for, the more it starts to become work.
Yeah, the pressure is really hard to manage as well. And we were talking about having hard comps is motivating, but when you are always disappointed in your results, at some point it just gets too hard.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that, that they're not just happy to be out there. You're trying to improve your results every time, and you're looking at the boulders or the routes and deciding how capable you are. And it's not always where you land in the standings. Look how smoothly he came through that. And that's the first.
He looks determined.
Yeah, I mean, 3 fingers on that sloper is interesting. It's almost like I guess it's got a bit of a lip to crimp from, but that was a cool clipping position. And that is as well.
Yeah.
Open your chest up and try and breathe.
Yeah.
Like lean back.
Really well.
That kind of, you see people learn how to rest. It's a technique, it's a skill, and kind of releasing tension where it needs to. But if you release tension where too far, you slip it back, it gets very difficult. But you see the offside, you want to open up, you want to get some relaxation, blood flow.
Yeah.
You kind of want to get your heart rate back down, and then immediately back up again. Guy McNamee.
Oh, yeah, I was so scared as well.
That was, he stuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought for a second maybe he would fall off, but
he didn't. There.
Nice.
He wants a little love from the crowd too. So not resting at all tells me he has a better idea of his fitness, and you look at the speed now. This is fundamentally different from how he climbed even 3 or 4 years ago. Sort of racing through, trying to outrun the lactic acid.
Yeah.
But be careful.
gotta say, I love this change of music. It's really relaxed when he was resting, and then really
Yeah,
upbeat.
now it's adding to the stress, making the decision here.
Come on, Guy.
You trust that left foot.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. Amazing.
Gets a little heel. Guy McNamee
Yes.
moving well here. Has to make this clip sab.
Yeah.
Can he reverse it? I don't know.
Yeah, he has to. Oh, okay.
Can he get a little?
Oh, he's far away though.
He is. The rope is stuck on the volume. This is drama. Can he get it? Is he just gonna go for it? Because why not? Oh, Guy. Showy finish from Guy McNamee. I mean, you can almost hear the thoughts going through his mind in that moment. It's like, I don't think I can clip, but I might be able to finish. I won't get the points, but I'll still top the route.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point maybe you don't really want to take the big fall, so you're like, kind of might as well do the last move.
Yes.
Oh, he just checked, like, did I win?
Did I win? Yeah. So
confirm.
here, just watch the right hand.
Oh.
It slips and the left hand comes off, and then he just like regrips immediately.
Oh, that's nice. We have a brotherly win for nationals. Kinder won bouldering.
Yes.
And then Guy wins lead, so they both have.
They both have a medal to take home. So there is going to be, I was told by the jury president, a 15-minute break between the men's and the women. So I think we're going to pause the stream, and we'll come back just before the women start climbing. But to recap, Guy McNamee is your lead national champion for 2024 with that very, very exciting performance. TJ Foley and Evan Lau both got to that same 29 plus. That's going to put Evan in the silver medal position because of countback, and TJ is going to be on the podium in both lead and boulder, so he will be happy about that as well. We are going to come back in about, maybe call it 12 minutes. Go grab a coffee and come back and join us. We'll see you in a bit.
inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Welcome back. We are just getting set for the women's half of the lead final here at the 2024 Canadian National Climbing Championships. Pete Woods here with Sabrina Tayerhead. Sabrina, we were treated to lots of different movement, lots of different ways to make climbers question their own judgment on the men's final, and I expect much of the same on the women's.
Yeah, for sure. This was a really, really exciting round. I'm even more excited to see the women now. It'll be fun. And
it seems like a very different route. So the men, you saw that very tensioning move that surprisingly, caused a lot of, stress to the finalists through the middle, and then the big lâché move, and then super powerful pumpy finish. The women's route it's a long, winding, lots of extra holds, extra quote unquote, that will cause doubt. Sequencing becomes an issue. Options aren't always good. When you have so many potentials, you kind of can think you've chosen the wrong position. So this is going to be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more mentally taxing. And then overall, it also looks like it's just going to be really tiring.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like more of a power kind of route. And then I know there are a couple of moves that look maybe a little dynamic, but when we were looking at it together, we couldn't really tell which moves were going to be static, which moves were going to be dynamic. So I know the athletes are going to wonder the same thing.
Yeah, when when we were mentioning before that you have an idea of how good the holds are. Sometimes if it's your home gym, you recognize the hold itself, and you're like, oh, I've grabbed that, dozens of times, I'm all good. But then, if you don't know the holds, and then you're looking at trying to decide how committed you can be, can you recover, is that a position to shift your feet around in? We're always looking to move in and out of strong positions, so you don't want to be uncomfortable in your hands and then have to make foot switches. But if you move your feet too early, then you're sort of in an equally bad situation. So the timing to chain together that much movement is what really comes down as part of the test.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to Beta Breakers for putting on the live stream. Definitely go over and subscribe to that channel. They do all kinds of comps down through the United States as well. So this is their first foray up onto Canadian soil. We started working about a month ago to make sure that we could bring a live stream here. So huge thank you to Basim and his Beta Breakers, which he's the only one that came up this time. Volunteers have been huge for this event. We've had some volunteers on the cameras, and then of course the judging, everybody that's judging the belayers. You cannot say enough at a lead comp of how important it is to have belayers that the climbers can trust. Well, we just saw Guy McNamee decide to throw the clip out the window, and Dono for the last move took a 25-footer in a 35-foot gym.
Yeah.
So huge thank you, of course, to the belayers as well. And thank you to you for being here, for popping up at the last minute and being game to come and join me on the live stream.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me again. And yeah, the live stream is really appreciated. I know the athletes really love when there's a live stream, but also everyone who's supporting us really love to watch us, and not everyone can be there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's really great that we have that this year.
Yeah, we get to, Canada's a very big country, so I mean, pretty much the only people that are here in person are people that live in Montreal or family of people who traveled. But even then, most of them as senior nationals, you're not coming with your parents. A lot of the older athletes are coming on their own, and then obviously the teenagers are traveling with at least some kind of chaperone situation. But yeah, we're happy to bring it to you at home. Hope you're enjoying it. We are now going to get into the women's final. We are going to crown our national champion in probably about 40 minutes time. We're going to get started with Chloe Earl. 23-year-old climbing out of BC.
Yeah, we forgot to mention yesterday that she did make finals because there's an extra spot because someone's here from the U.S.
Exactly, yeah.
There's 9 women.
Yeah, when I was counting, when I was doing this morning, I was like, oh yeah, I think we left her out when we were doing the recap at the end of the semifinal.
Yeah, well, I realized it when I went to her and said, you were 1 spot out. And she was like, no, actually, I'm in. And I was like, oh. Congrats then.
Right. Immediate change of opinion.
Yeah, I'm really excited for her.
Yeah, so even this is one of the first sort of decision points, is just how to move through these crimps.
Yeah, we were wondering exactly what the sequence was when we were looking at it, and I think she's going to show us the way now.
Just creating positions that are difficult to hold the right kind of tension in without putting strain.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's hard with these moves here is to know from the ground how far they actually are, like how far this hand is, how far the foot is. Do I have to jump or not? It's really hard to tell from the ground.
And your experience will give you some of that, but you're wrong, right? As you know, it does happen. And you're also deciding how much you're going to trust a volume. Am I going to stand on the crimp, which is farther? Am I going to come up on the volume, which is going to be more tenuous, to shorten that move? And a lot of those decisions you make in the moment. So you're reading and reacting and adapting on the fly on a lead route.
For sure.
Nice toe hook here. You called that one perfectly when we were doing the preview. Yes, but now getting extended. So the release of the toe hook is going to create, unless you can do the splits, I would be swinging out of that position. I would be swinging.
Yeah, we'll be seeing who did their stretching or not.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh, she makes it stick. That's good work from Chloe.
Yeah.
She's moving well, moving quickly, confidently, not second-guessing any of her decisions. And now into sort of a nest of crimps.
Yeah, I find that this, like, 9th position, I guess, is sometimes almost the easiest one to get into because you're just putting pressure on the other competitors. You're coming out first, so you have no expectations. You didn't hear anything. Oh.
Yeah, so she tested the reach across, didn't like it. That's a foothold on the blue fit volume. She's gonna find a drop knee. I love it. That's tactics. Great stuff, Chloe Earle. So if you are just joining us, we're at Canyon Escalade here in Montreal for the women's portion. If you didn't watch the men's, definitely go back and watch it. But we've just started the women's final. We're gonna go from the, as we see this, I mean, great position on the cross through, but then she was out of gas to hold that open pinch.
Yeah, that hold also looks very side pull. So if you're just in front of it or below it, then it doesn't really, can't really stick. You have to have some type of opposition.
So we're going to go in reverse order from how they qualified out of the semifinal. As Sabrina was just saying, there are 9 women because we have 1 American. So to keep our Canadian quota up, 1 extra climber. So you can expect to see the trend is progression on the route as we get closer to the top qualifiers. Sometimes people have a bad semifinal and are expected to maybe podium, and people do come from last to first. It happens. So there's no givens in a final. Your placement coming out of semifinals is just how you climbed in semifinals. Is not necessarily representative of what you're going to do. Maybe this route is perfectly in your style.
Yeah.
And then as we saw on the men's side, Ugo slipped low. So somebody who was maybe favored to be on the podium just made a tiny, tiny error. And in lead climbing, there are no second chances. And often the way these are set, a very small error is unrecoverable.
Yeah, even the mental game, if you're like bouldering, you can sometimes within the 4 minutes take some time to breathe and stop being nervous. But on the lead climb, you there's so many things to think about while you're climbing, and you can't really stop.
No. At all, really. Yeah, you have to sort of process everything as you drive through it.
Exactly. Different sequence than Chloe.
But also just deciding, moving, and continuing. You can move in and out of imperfect positions. People do it all the time. They're like, this isn't great, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
So good enough is often the case on the bottom of a lead route, and then eventually good enough is not what you want.
Yeah.
Sasha Duchenne now getting into the first bit of business. This is her first foray into the senior circuit, just 16 years old.
I find that a lot of these athletes show a lot of maturity, like way above where I was at 16.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't start climbing till much later, so I don't even have that experience. I did sports at 16, but team sports are different when you're younger because you have that environment and, you know, coaches and teammates are ever present. But an individual athlete, when you have to solve your own business, is very different at that age.
Yeah. The emotions are different. I don't know. I was like all over the place when I was a teenager.
Yeah,
so.
no doubt. Sometimes you see people go on an emotional roller coaster in the length of their route.
Mm-hmm.
They go from, you know, they have a slip, they get, you know, you can see sort of fear and disappointment creep in, or you stick a move and you get a little bit of a boost of confidence. We saw the men kind of waving to the crowd after doing the lache.
Yeah.
But sometimes you run emotions in the 4 or 5 minute span that you're on the wall.
Yeah.
But Sasha moving well, getting into this position, which I think is, I mean, it looks like it's a good sort of pushing undercling, but I think it's pretty slopey under there. They won't spend a lot of time here.
Yeah.
Makes that work. And then getting into this position, which is a sort of a rest.
Yeah, there's a little less dynamic moves than we thought there was going to be.
Yes, yeah. We were thinking that maybe that move, and it was hard to read the distance.
Yeah.
So she's getting into this same decision making that Chloe was in.
Oh.
And I mean, the move off the Gaston was to try and draw a plus out of the judge.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I mean, she moved. She left the hold. She was moving her hips. You sort of watch here, like this Gaston. It's too small to match. You see the top half of it is blocked. But she does make pretty effective movements, so maybe that becomes a plus.
Yeah, I'm not jealous of these judges that have to make these types of call.
Yeah.
It's a hard job, and sometimes it's a little less like objective that we wouldn't want. It's like just you have to make the decision at some point.
And then you can hum and haw about it forever.
Yeah.
If you missed us talking about the scoring at the start of the men's round, the route, every hold has a point value. The women have 39 holds to travel through. So every hold that you grab is worth a point. So if you grab hold 25, you get 25 points. But what we see, and what we're talking about right now, is that if you leave the hold in the direction that the route intends you to climb, and you're making upward or sideways movement, using that hold, you will get a plus, and that will differentiate. It's not necessarily a tiebreaker, it's just rewarding you for doing more than the person that only grabbed it and fell off. So that we think that Sasha maybe would have had a plus there. Chloe definitely had a plus there. And now we'll see Cedar Henry, Quebec local. This was a long youth career and quite a few open national championships at this point. Has been around the podium, some 5th, some 6th. So she's been in a lot of finals.
Yeah, for sure. I think she's one of the people who does 3 disciplines. So she also does lead, bouldering, and speed, I think, as well. Becoming
increasingly rare, the 3-sport. The speed climbers are mostly specialized these days, but at when you're younger, maybe you haven't specialized yet, and you still enjoy all the disciplines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just awkward. That, sort of this backwards undercling.
Yeah, it seems like you need to make a decision quickly so you don't lose energy. Ooh, a little slip.
And you squeeze, a half slip, you squeeze, your heart rate goes up.
Yeah.
Now, you have to remind yourself that you're fine. But now, just the tiniest bit of indecision, because you slipped on that volume, you immediately don't trust that volume.
Yeah. she seems to not be really happy about that smear.
Yes.
And it's interesting because Cedar, I know, is pretty good at slab, but these are smears in a steep wall.
Yes.
It's not the same thing at all.
Definitely not the same thing. And everybody who's spent any time climbing in a gym and has slipped off of volume knows the betrayal, where you think you're completely fine. Imagine that on your lead final.
Yeah. And she seems to get a little composure back.
Yeah. Just a few shakes. Shaking is not always, Sab, it's not always about getting recovery. Sometimes it's about just slowing down.
Yeah.
And again, I was so convinced that was going to be harder. And of course, all of the women can basically do the splits.
Yeah. Yeah, we see a lot of differences between the women and men because they had a similar position in their semi-finals route with this volume and the high feet and the undercling. And the women seem a little more comfortable. It's maybe a little smaller box. And then they're all usually a little more mobile and flexible.
And as on display right here, that toe hook to make the clip and in and out of that drop knee. Super, super clean, but running out of push.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a plus, and it brings up the interesting point that we talked a little bit about yesterday in the semifinal. She's so strong here, much similar to Chloe. She has the crimp under complete control. Nothing slips. She's just suddenly out of the ability to bend your arms.
Yeah.
And that route climbing sneaks up on you, and it sneaks up on us. And some climbers are very, very good at looking in control until they fall off.
Yeah.
And some climbers that have some tells along the way. I did not think that Cedar was in any risk of falling off. I thought she was going to stick that move and keep moving. But that's the nature of the game.
Yeah, I think this position, maybe you want to have the right hand and then find a better position to go off of it instead of just like jumping off like that. It's hard to understand what you need to do at that moment.
Yeah, I think so. And the feet are, if you got the drop knee, the right foot is farther away than you want to push to where you're going. But then it's much more committing to kind of cut and exit, and especially with the crimp. And it's something, you know, if you climb a lot of routes, you know that feeling where you're like, and we sort of talked about it on the men's side, where you're like, I'm not pumped until I have to full crimp something.
Yeah.
So open hand climbing, like wide underclings, even pinches to some degree, and you're like, I'm fine. And then you have to wait a closed hand crimp, and you immediately, that's it.
Yeah.
You're off.
Well, you will see a lot in World Cups athletes who do the 3-finger drag on crimps for the whole way, and then they do that because it is a different muscle that's being used than full crimp. So when they do really need the full crimp, it's almost fresh because they've been 3-finger dragging all the holds.
Absolutely. As we used to say, just open hand climbing. Now the 3-finger drag is the term that has come to pass. Kaya Taylor Ainsley, 18-year-old climbing out of British Columbia. Again, someone who's been all around podiums and national championships. Two-sport athlete. Two-discipline.
She skipped the left hand. Oh, she's going back to it.
Just to get a shake, but didn't need it.
Yeah,
you do make an excellent point that you see even her left hand here, it's just sort of in a bit of an open, wide grip. And if you're a little bit newer to climbing, there is a difference between a full crimp, a half crimp, and that open hand, that 3-finger drag position. I love this little toe hook, but is it needed? No problem. Because it does allow you to relax in a position that still keeps you engaged. It's subtle, but as we get into this level of climbing, the subtleties are the difference.
Yeah, you'll see that a little bit more in the youth world as well.
Yeah.
When you're an adult, I feel like you're not as used to hanging off the tip of your fingers. Kaya is also, I think, one of the taller climbers, so I maybe see a little bit of a different approach to some of the moves. Yeah,
well, even here, she brought her feet over sooner and didn't have to release that toe hook. And then there, that's a little bit more what we were thinking was going to happen.
Yeah.
A little bit more dynamic. Working that clip out quickly. You don't want to be fumbling quick draws. That's a foothold. So here's this drop knee. Kaya in control.
Yeah.
And the crowd lets her know. So as you were saying, now she knows that she's climbing into territory the crowd has not seen yet.
Yes.
It gives you a little bit of boost, but these holds are going to be sapping.
Yeah, I think at this point it's nice because you're just fighting to go further instead of fighting to like not lose.
Right. And you see here, she's just looking for position that's going to work, and then you're going to make them smear in that place. Excellent climbing from Kaya Taylor-Ainsley.
Very good climbing.
It's so hard to figure out which
oh.
holds those are on the hold map.
She didn't do really anything different than anyone else. I think she just maybe had more energy.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. And then right here, that foothold, and then she brings the smear up, and then that position is...
Yeah, big undercling like that will take a lot of the energy out of your biceps.
Yes.
When you're 3/4 up a route, maybe don't have that energy left.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah.
You definitely want to. And it's that you can fatigue a muscle group almost on demand as a route setter. You can just decide that, oh, your left hand is going to get wrecked down low, and then you're going to need it where the wall gets steep, and then you're not going to have it.
Yeah, and one thing we don't think about is sometimes you clip from the same hand on every clip, and then just like one arm is just really pumped and the other one's not.
And then the crux demands it. And that's, so the route setting is, I mean, it's critical, of course, as it is in bouldering, but they're able to do that, and they have to find ways to unsettle the athletes. And that climber starts to realize that, like, even when you're previewing, you might think, oh my goodness, is that 6 left-hand clips in a row? I got to find a way to make a right-hand clip, and then you might make an awkward position, and then you might be out of balance, and all of those things. Brooke White now from Alberta. Podiumed at Youth Nationals just this year in the spring. And was climbing, I remember mentioning that I thought that she was going to do the big dynamic move on the semifinal route and overshot it, so had almost too much power in the bank at the top of the route.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what she does here. It's always hard to know if a route's going to be in anybody's style or not. Sometimes the routes have almost no flow, so it's not really, it's an anti-style the whole way. Yeah. This one has a bit of, sort of, you can see where the pieces are connecting. But the theme is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it's hard with the lead climbing. Like bouldering, you can definitely like maybe miss out on an easier climb, but then make it up by doing something that's more in your wheelhouse. With lead climbing, there's this one route, and you have to. And if your style is maybe higher up in the route, and then you got to
get to it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you don't even like that crossover jump it's not physically difficult, but you saw everyone has hesitated for just a second before making that crossover jump move. They want to be sure. Shake and evaluate. So yes, you've previewed the route. Yes, you've talked about it, but when you're up in it, as you were mentioning earlier, maybe you were wrong about how far away the holds are or what your reach would be or how much you trust the foot. So you're adapting and looking. You see them scanning all the time. Brooke now deciding am I gonna do this move? Oh, and that's what we thought. It was gonna be a jump and a stab. And that is how Brooke read it. And then the foot, I think, slips a little bit. It's a big move.
Yeah.
She chose to go dynamically.
Yeah, she went fully dynamic.
And seemed, I think the right hand maybe let go. She looked surprised. Everything else looked right. The timing was right. She has it here. The foot is basically spot on, and I think the right hand comes off.
Yeah, it's not as much as a jump as like you step on the foot, you get the hold, and then you stab the left foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because the guy's dyno obviously is a jump. You can tell it's a jump. for this move, it's not as obvious. Like, do I want to jump? Do I want to drive the foot a little bit? It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's not completely clear, and that's great for us.
Yeah.
And not great if you are competing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know Brooke, she comes at my gym, and I know that she's gonna chew on that one for a little bit. She definitely has the power and the technical ability to do a move like that. She showed it yesterday. So that's, as you were saying, 24, maybe 48, maybe a week.
Yeah.
To kind of kick that one around, and then what do I take away?
Yeah, and it's interesting. The climbers in a gym are a lot different usually than in comps. Some are better in comps than they are when they're training, and some are better in training and then they get nervous in comps. Sometimes you get really shocked at how good a competitor is in training. And then you're like, but you slipped here.
Yeah, but so how did... Yeah, we get surprised quite a lot. Sienna Chow does not get surprised very often. She has spent most of her time on the top of podiums. We talked about it yesterday. She's a Triple Crown winner, which is pretty rare. So that's lead speed and boulder champion in the same season. And she's done it twice for youth. So 2023 and 2024. And this is her, she'll be hunting her first open senior national podium.
Yeah, after bouldering, she already has a silver medal from bouldering, so.
Swinging through the first committing move, taking a breath.
Yeah, she's climbing with a lot of confidence.
And still, she's 16. Sab, she's 16.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're all very, very young in competition scene.
And composed.
Yeah.
And able to regulate and make these decisions. And maybe you might not know this, but there is no live coaching in climbing. So your coach can't yell anything to you. They can't talk to you during the preview, after the preview. It's not part of the deal. So the coaches that are in isolation don't come out for the preview, and they can sort of talk through it with the climbers, but they don't get to tell them live in the room. She keeps the foot down low.
Yeah, another thing is we're seeing all these athletes do these moves, so we know them pretty well at that point, but she doesn't. She's still seeing this for the first time.
For the first time. And it's important to remember that watching at home. Is like, oh, well, she's seen everyone do it.
Exactly.
No, the route is still climbed on site. Oh, just sort of missed the grip.
Yeah.
We'll see if she decides to, if she's just composing herself or getting some fitness back.
Yeah, and that left hand over there is not a good hold. It's good when you're placed pretty well, but it's not a positive hold.
Oh, and she can't make the transition out. It's the steepest part of the wall on this side of the climb. But she did, even just being able to come back down, regain composure, get some fitness, and come around and like stick that move. I mean, this might even be plus. Yeah, that's plus from moving the feet across. But, I mean, you kind of think if Sienna Chow's going to fall there, anybody can fall here. You even see the shoulders come up.
Yeah.
And just that, we call it a dry fire. That left hand just goes pop.
That hurts the skin.
Yeah, and it hurts the heart.
Yeah.
And then it hurts the skin.
Yeah, and after so much climbing, 3 rounds of bouldering, 3 rounds of lead climbing, the skin is also going to be something that's a bit hurtful. It's going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, I mean, people, you know that. If you climb a lot, you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I climb, I know that feeling. I know it over the course of a week.
Yeah.
Right? I always leave the gym when my fingers feel like that. And like, what if I forced you to come back in 2 hours and climb again? And you'd be like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah, and these athletes will climb until they're bleeding, and then they'll put tape on fingers and then just keep climbing.
Exactly. The drive is always there. Riley Doherty, 17-year-old from Ontario, climbed from pretty deep in the field in the semifinal and was one of those climbers that, you know, either the route was in her style, but she outclimbed her ranking into semifinals to earn her spot in finals, and climbed very composed, very well yesterday.
Yeah, it's never over until it's over. It's a wisdom I needed to share.
It's spot on. It is good, a good piece of wisdom. Yeah, and this is, I love this as an example of what we're talking about, because it's an ugly move, and you saw her kind of go with plan A and then say, nah, I don't like that. Plan B it is.
Yeah, these routes are not like commercial gym routes, so they're not made to make you feel good or be comfortable.
Right.
It's actually the opposite. They're just there to challenge you, so they're definitely more uncomfortable than regular gym climbs.
You know that feeling when you're maybe trying a route or a boulder that's quite hard for you, and you're like, well, why wouldn't there be a foot there?
Yeah.
That's the jump to difficult, and we don't care about your opinion on where there should have been a foothold. I think the challenge of making the best climbers in the country not finish a route, but also not fall just at the beginning, it's a gift. And I can't say enough about route setting in general as an art form and a skill set. And then the crew here, a small crew for a lead final. But your head setter was Oscar Lanzagorta Sanchez. And then Nicolas Vouillamos was the assistant. Jazz Watson and Matt Lucas closing out that crew.
Yeah, and we know...
Good stick from Riley.
Yeah, we know Oscar is one of the more experienced lead setter. He's really, really good at setting lead comps. So.
And he's familiar. This is his gym, so he knows the angles, he knows the holds.
Yeah.
Watch Riley come through. Oh, I thought she had it. I thought she had it.
Yeah, she actually did for like half a second. And
Yeah,
then,
she leaves that really well. And never gets quite the right amount of possession on that left hand. The left foot stayed, but that open swing, the challenge of traveling left into a hold that's facing left is that it's great when you first grab it, but if you can't control the travel, it just gets progressively worse very, very quickly.
Yeah, and we can see she was trying really hard to stay on the wall, and you can only try hard like that for so long until you're just like gassed out and you let go.
Yeah. So there's room here at the top of the route for a little bit of excitement from our top two climbers. Babette's coming out right now. Punchy, powerful, explosive climber is theoretically going to have no issue with the punchy, powerful, explosive moves.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much of the crowd you can hear in the background, but Babette is she's a national favorite, but she is very much a hometown favorite. She's been climbing for a long time in Montreal and has been around the competition series for a long time and is just a joy to watch.
For sure. And we're very unbiased here.
Oh, completely unbiased, completely unbiased. She's been a national team member for a number of years now, 2 or 3 years of World Cup climbing experience, but has not taken home a lead national title.
Yeah,
she mostly focuses on bouldering.
Yeah, and if we think back at the last lead nationals that she did, it was a little bit more of a like technical route and a slippery route, and she did have an early fall, which I know she was really disappointed by. So I think she's probably thinking a little bit about a double win.
Yes.
Didn't have that last time. She just only won bouldering, which is still obviously amazing.
Yep.
But I know she's probably also trying not to think about it too much.
Right, because being the double champion, like being elite at both disciplines, doesn't come around very often. Those people are out there. Sean McCall was one of those people at a World Cup level, but I've talked to a lot of climbers over the years who say that's generally, especially in Sean's era, was an anomaly to be continually elite. Eventually, like the training is so different, Sab. It's so different.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of crossover, but the fitness and the power endurance required is fundamentally different from modern bouldering.
Yeah, and it's a lot of time to put in the gym,
Oh
a
my
lot of time
goodness.
for bouldering, and then a lot of time for lead as well.
And training, I think you said it yesterday, like training for lead routes sucks.
Yeah.
It just hurts,
For sure.
like
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Babette has been doing a lot more bouldering than lead training. But yeah, it translates a little bit too, so we're not too worried.
So getting a few little shakes here in the underclaying, looking at that foot, sort of piecing it together, like kind of half of one and half of the other.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do.
Releasing it when required, getting a little shake here. See that similar position to we saw Guy, where you just open up wide because that's how you relax. And that people who were rested here didn't look relaxed. They looked like they were still hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
So I like this. This shows me that her grip is as good as it needs to be to get past this section. A left foot adjustment, I love that. And the crowd will tell her that she's doing good things. That's a big reach.
It's a hard hold. Okay.
Gets it, has to find a way to clip this on the smears. My goodness, what is happening? Babette is getting the craziest little shake here. Does she get that?
Okay.
Can't see.
Yeah,
Did
I
it
think
go?
She did get the
Okay.
clip, yeah.
Maybe even a little cam there. That's a wild position.
Yeah, I feel like Babette is really good at, oh
Those kinds of things.
no. Yeah, she's good at doing weird positions and then just committing to them,
Yeah.
even though she knows it's a weird position. Yeah, but I think she will be a little disappointed by that. I didn't know she wanted to top, obviously.
Yeah, and then the heel, I think she needed to stay on to make the clip. I think she needed to get that recovery back. But there's look at her left hip. The hip mobility to be able to reach this hold. So I think she's probably got the grip strength to stick it.
Yeah.
But just, you're in your own way, which sounds like an odd thing to say, but your own kind of knee, hip, foot, core, no one's that bendy.
Yeah. So she didn't get further than, so Kaya is the one.
Kaya, I think, is ahead at 34.
Okay.
And Babette is, I think, sitting at 33 plus.
So we know that Kaya right now would be, because the next one is US.
Yep.
There's the winner, potential winner of the comp, and then there's also the winner of Canadian Nationals.
Exactly.
Which needs to be Canadian.
So yes, so you're looking at the Zoe is here for training. She's here because it's a high-level competition, which I like when Americans come because they're they respect our level of competition.
Yeah.
But she, of course, cannot be the Canadian champion. She is climbing to win a comp.
Yeah.
And we shall see. The way she climbed yesterday, she looked like so clean, so smooth. She's been in and around the top of the U.S. youth podium. She was first in 2023. She was second this year, which was not that long ago. I think September was the youth nationals in America.
She seems like one of those types of climbers that makes everything look easy a little bit.
Yeah.
She's really, really smooth in her climbing.
I agree. I was thinking it would be funny if we just spoke French while the American was climbing the whole time, and just out of just a little dose of humor to anybody watching from the States to see Zoe climbing. It was like, well, you can watch her climb, but you need to learn French to hear what we're saying about it.
You won't know what we're saying.
You won't know what we're talking about. We love having Americans come up to Canadian competitions. We're right next door to each other.
Yeah, and it can help sometimes push the level a little bit. We are sometimes, I think, a little behind. Obviously, we have some incredibly strong climbers, but when even stronger climbers come, it really shows us how further we can go.
Yeah,
helps.
agreed. You want to be training and climbing Ooh, takes the toe hook but has to jump anyway.
Yeah.
You want to be around the strongest climbers in the room as much as possible because they push you. Everyone's had that session where they've been climbing with a friend who you're just about to walk away from a boulder and they do it. And you think, oh, dang it, now that I know it's doable,
Yeah.
I think I'm stronger than you. So, okay, I'll try it again. And maybe you get that little fire. And often we talk about the difference in doing something being just quite literally, did you try as hard as you could?
Yeah.
And it's hard to try 100%. So often we're trying in the 90s, 80s, and then you're like, okay, let me just try really hard for real one time, and you do it. And on a lead route, you've got to pick and choose your 100% moments because you'll just gas out. Zoe moving very well through here. She had a little rest early, skipped the rest at the undercling, essentially, and look how casual that position is for her.
Yeah. Yeah, but then the next moves are just hard. I don't think they're necessarily because you're pumped. I think they're just, oh, maybe they're not that hard.
Maybe they're less difficult. She's able to find the clipping position here.
Yeah, no, they definitely look hard.
Yeah, whether you're pumped or not, these moves are difficult.
Exactly. Then these hold are really bad.
Yeah, low feet and then smears. You saw Kaya, who's quite tall, didn't like leaving this position.
Oh, she looks very comfortable here.
She does. And the route setters, of course, and the crowd and us, and I'm sure you. She missed.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, we want to see the routes get done.
Yeah,
I was curious to see the transition out of the rest of that. I think she just sort of, she had the distance, but she went high.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't know these holds.
She went right, watch this right hand. The feet are fine.
Oh, no, yeah, you can't
right
hold.
on the no texture. You can't, you
hold
cannot
no
hold
texture.
that. That is a 100% no texture.
Yeah.
So interestingly, that is also a 34 plus. So her and Kai would be tied, but on count back, that's going to be Zoe, who's going to take home the win of the event. But your national champion is going to be Kaya Taylor-Ainsley. Babette is going to be the silver medalist, and Sienna Chow is going to be your bronze medalist for the Canadian National Championships. Sab, that's it. On est fini.
Yeah. Went by fast.
It goes by so quickly. I hope you had a good time watching at home. I had a great time. We've been here, across bouldering, which was always a good time. And I hope you were able to maybe watch some of the qualifiers. We had cameras up for the qualifiers yesterday, and then the semifinals. And I hope you had fun watching this afternoon. And that's it, really. So they're going to do the podium. We'll leave the stream up. By all means, hang out, watch the podium, and then we'll see if we can get interviews with the winners that we'll probably then just put back in. They won't be live. So we are going to say thank you and good afternoon. Merci beaucoup, Sabrina. C'était fantastique de s'asseoir ici avec vous.
Mais merci beaucoup de m'avoir invité. Et je suis toujours disponible, sauf si je fais les finales.
Right, exactly. You don't want to be available,
Exactly.
but you are available.
Yeah.
So one last big thank you to our National Federation, to the CEC, to Kenyon Escalade, Beta Breakers for the live stream, all of the volunteers, the route setting crew always holds a very special place in our hearts for the work that they put in to create a stage such as this. And we're going to leave you to it on the podium. Thanks very much, everybody, and we will absolutely see you next year. They're talking about something else.
Yeah.
I had a really funny experience a long time ago at Canadian National.
Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour. On a eu une belle finale with the finals? Yes? While we wait for final results, I just want to take a minute to acknowledge our host, flags made and added. I'm going to put them down somewhere.
A lot of back to make.
Yes, it is a lot of makeup. Well done. It's not over yet either. And there's still room for a little bit of chow in there. Right? Oui, bonjour. En français aussi. Je suis un petit peu nerveuse. J'ai complètement oublié. Ok. Merci. Je vais faire un petit mot. Sam? Je veux juste m'excuser pour avoir oublié de faire un message en français également. On est au Québec, j'aurais dû faire en français si je suis un petit peu nerveuse, je m'excuse, je suis fatiguée. Donc, juste en français, rapidement, je veux juste dire que c'est important pour nous de reconnaître le passé, de reconnaître que nos centres d'accueil, le gym, sont super importants à notre histoire et que nous avons créé des plaques pour remercier les centres d'escalade qui accueillent les nationaux, ainsi que reconnaître tous les champions du passé en difficulté, en vol et en vitesse. Merci beaucoup.
That's why she doesn't get the plus, is because it was 33, either done either 33, 34 or 33, 34. And that's the thing too, though, for me, because I wasn't read that often. And so I'm not
So, the provisional results are up. You have 5 minutes to make an appeal if you need to. Les résultats provisoires sont maintenant affichés. Vous avez 5 minutes pour faire un appel si vous avez besoin.
well, the head judge said,
Thank you. It's exciting.
So, 5 minutes is over. Le 5 minutes est terminé. Les résultats sont maintenant officiels. The results are now official.
Well, Right.
Between you and Aaron.
Oh my goodness, the two of us.
Standing beside each other.
Oh yeah, when we're taking videos, like you just hear that. It's just like the speakers practice. Yeah, we have a lot of here.
When you're together, you know what?
Pretty fun when they hurt some chairs. Bro, it's like, it's almost like you're bad. It's like, so loud. Go! Get on the wall!
Versus Vancouver, like fly over and then fly back. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. Even when you fly to Kelowna, like, just drop me off right there. Yeah. It's the airport right there. Furnace. Just drop me off.
Parachute.
Back.
Yeah.
Maybe the half an hour.
There is it the flights to Avatar? Okay, yeah, I get that. Let other people pack it. Yeah, keep an eye out on tweets.
On va commencer avec les hommes. We're going to go with men first. So pay attention, the timers, the crowd. Et pour le résultat national, the national results for the men. En troisième position, in the third place, il nous vient de l'Alberta, he's from Alberta, TJ Pauley. En deuxième place, in the second place, also from Alberta, il nous vient aussi de l'Alberta, et j'ai nommé Congratulations guys, bravo les gars. Et en deuxième position, in the second place, from British Columbia, de la Colombie-Britannique, Kaya Taylor! Et maintenant la